All right, let's get on this. Time for some ACC 360 sports. Doing another one. If this looks familiar, yes. We've already made one almost 2 years ago. I could barely remember anything about it. Had to kind of review it. Went to go look at the video, and this was before I was making videos. So we're going to kind of start from scratch on it. But I'm sure most of it will become familiar. Maybe you'll remember some of it. The changes are, though, it is not going to be hanging. So it's the same size and same construction, but it's going to be hanging from a soffit. So we're ditching the legs, and it's going to hang down below the soffit. It's going to have those same LED bars and all that, but it's going to basically be 28 inches here that's going to be touching the front of the curve. So that's the modifications. But as far as like the front glow, and you'll hopefully you'll start to remember some of the stuff and how it's kind of constructed. But this push through and all that is the same. So let's get into it. We'll go over all that. See what you remember. Hard to believe, 2 years. Anyway, so you got the front face assembly frame. You'll have 4 jigs because remember this is sort of a hybrid frame, so you only have jigs on the front, and then you have sort of the Lords on the backer there to sort of create that cabinet with rear access. The difference, no legs, but we're going to have this other sort of modified mounting frame that's separate. And then this is the same. It'll be that same sort of push through face, but it has like these rings and all that stuff going on. We'll go over that. I'm going to send over the parts for a single banger. I don't know if maybe you need a double banger. You could talk to Install if they need like a box for the LED bars that go on both sides. But for right now, I'm just sending you a single. That'll be just enough for this sign. So, but if you need to coordinate with Install, go ahead. There's a piece of 040 for the LED backer. You got some push throughs, 1 inch and 3/4. So watch out for that. There's this beauty ring that gets painted. If you recall, watch out for that. And then you've got 4 of these bars. They were these little lenses. They get covered in vinyl. Let's see. Where are we at? Pushies. Your coloring, bar. 1 inch push throughs there. And 3/8 push throughs there. Okay. Oh, and the difference is on this one. This is a paper install pattern. For install, if you want, maybe you want a more solid template to drill your holes, because it is slightly on a curve, but I don't think the curve comes too much into play. So I think the paper pattern will still work. There'll just be a little bit of difference there. So I think it's going to touch in the middle. That's why I went ahead and put mounting holes in the center of the frame. So theoretically, it should touch right there. And then you'll just need to bring in some spacers, washers or something to kind of build up the outside. So anyway, so like I said, I had to kind of review and remember how this thing went together. So you're forgiven if you don't remember. But anyway, so it's if you recall though, it's like a 2-piece structure. You sort of have the outer frame that's the structural frame, and then there's this like push through separate face that attaches to that frame. And then, like I said, the other one would have legs, but this one's going to attach to a sort of a mounting frame. So that's the overview. So building the main cabinet, you'll have your face that you'll Lords on later. But if you recall, you take your backer ring, you bend all 4 sides, and then you're going to go ahead and Lords your outer ring, which is the outer like skin of the cabinet. Then you Lords it to that, and then you go ahead and Cleco in your 4 corner jigs, and that gives you this 2-inch frame on the face. And then you can go ahead and through back here, you can go ahead and tack that frame together, and then you can tack the jigs together. You can have access through the back here. That creates the sort of hybrid Lords on the, Lords and things here with the sort of frame here. And then you go ahead and Lords on your whole front face. and then that creates the blue part there. So that'll be that part there and the blue face. So now you're done with that. Then what you do is you go ahead and make, if you recall this thing, you're going to go ahead and bend up the top and bottom and then weld in the sides there. And then that creates just this, what is it, 1 inch? I think so. Yeah. So it's just like a 1 inch little perimeter frame. Then you're going to go ahead and shoot your studs, and you're going to go ahead and put together these bars. These bars are what sort of allow you to mount it to the other mainframe face. So you go ahead and put those, shoebox those in. If you recall, you go ahead and rivet those together. And then you're going to have 3 5/16 steel riv nuts that will riv nut in there. And then you lords these bars to the front face. So you lords it to here. No. Sorry. Over here. Yes. You lords it to here. And then the 3 riv nuts then correspond to this face. So you'll come in from the back, from the inside, with 5/16 bolts. And if you recall, then that whole front face floats like a reverse channel letter. So that's how you assemble that, if you recall. I went ahead and brought in all the spacers. I went and dug in the crates on the McMaster car, and I brought in all of that. I just duplicated that order because I don't remember if you used 1/2 inch spacers. You kind of had your choice, or you could use 3/4 inch spacers. But right here between the riv nut and the face was a spacer. So you could adjust this gap between the beauty ring, the gold beauty ring, and this light channel here. So I don't know if you guys tested that. I don't know what depth you guys used. So I went ahead and just duplicated the order from 2019. So I brought in the spacers. I brought in some more riv nuts for you guys, and you'll have various sizes of 5/16 bolts to assemble this with. So once you get that welded up and you get these bars lords on, then what you do is you lords on these flanges. I kind of have them on the wrong side here. These actually go with this face, but you can see where this flange is here. That's these guys, and you lords those all the way around, and then you kind of just tack them on the inside, and you create like this box, this chute. So from the side view, you have that right there, that purple. And if you remember, that part attaches to there, and that's where the pushies live, because we want the push-throughs to be a white push-through. But if you remember, there's a gold outer ring. So that was those weird channels. So there's the 3/4 inch acrylic gets routed out, and then these get sent and get wrapped in some sort of, I don't know if it was marigold or harvest gold or some kind of gold, the ACC gold. And then if you remember, I believe you stick Bendlux down in between these two. You're going to have these reference kisses here. And so you just kind of line it up right down the middle. And then you're going to you're going to tan tape this down over that. And then that's how we get that yellow glow out the side. The Benlux live right in here. And if you remember, there's let's see, this picture here has it. Which one is it? This one. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. So you remember, this yellow is actually that painted acrylic that gets stuck on. And then you're going to have that yellow glow that's going to sneak out. But then this is white. So that's what those channels are, if you remember. So you're going to have this ring. I don't remember if this was double stick tape or if you siliconed it on. I have rivet holes here, but I don't think we riveted on, or maybe you did. I don't know. I mean, you won't see the rivets, but I think this just gets tan taped on, and I have these holes just for reference. So you can sort of just use like a temporary rivet. But because this is acrylic, I don't think we want to rivet it on, because then it'll get all angry. But anyway, I think, yeah, you send this out, this gets painted yellow, and then you stick it to this face. So if you remember that there were these alignment rivet holes that you use to put that yellow ring on after paint. And then, yeah, then you double stick tape on those lenses, send those to vinyl, and they get covered in whatever color that yellow was. So anyway, you shoot studs in here though. That's a normal push through. And then when you go to assemble it, you slide this little chute, this little box you made, you slide it through the purple opening here, and then it sticks out the back. and then you slide in the 040 white. The 040 white. Remember, if you remember, you bend the flange backwards away from the way this is. So you'll have the reference kiss on the front, and then you bend this back, and then that allows for those holes to line up. And then you can use your frap to come in, and then you frap it in there after you slide this in. This won't clear if you put the frap in first and try to slide this in. It won't clear because the screws are there. So this is meant to be serviceable after you have this whole face assembly installed. So remember that. So I think that covers that part of it. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, those guys. So the difference being that this is the difference. So we chop the legs off. So you're going to have this whole other subframe that's just for install, that you'll have your kind of super customized backer pieces here. Go ahead and bend those up 1, 2. Microphone check. And then you're going to go ahead and put these corners in. Now look for the corner jigs. They're clipped there for the bottom ones here. So put those in, make sure this is up. And then look for these little tabs. You're going to slide these in, toaster slot, and you're going to tack it to the inside of the frame there. And that's going to stick out, and that's going to do all the work of holding this thing in place. You'll see you'll have corresponding slots on the backer piece here. So that's the difference. Instead of having legs, we haven't really done it this way. This is kind of new, but I took the backer and I slid it all the way in. You've got 2 inches of frame pocket back here. So that being said, be careful because this will be all attached to everything, but this is going to be a 2-inch flange of 090, 4 feet long, that can get dented, bent. So be careful during fab, during prep and install. When you take it out there, make sure that this lip doesn't get bent up or anything like that. So, but the idea is this whole sign is just going to slide over, lock into these tabs sticking out, and then you'll have number 10s all the way around the perimeter. Now I say all the way around, you're going to have 4 on the sides and you're going to have 3 on the bottom, but you're not going to have any room at the top. So I didn't forget the screws at the top. There just aren't any. So these tabs will stick out of the frame. That'll do all of the work, actually just holding this in place. That way it doesn't, rely on the number 10s to hold it up there, just in case, that way it won't slide down and hit anybody in the head. And that way the screws, all they have to do is just hold it, keep it from sliding off. So, and then you'll have power out. I went ahead and made this bottom bar here lines up with the soffit. So this is 28 inches. This is what they wanted. So everything below this bar is visible to the back. So make sure that all these holes get bondoed shut and get cleaned up. That being said, because this flange is going to be unsupported by anything, if you need to put a couple tacks, then go ahead. Or you can try injecting Lords between these 2 flaps and try to stabilize that seam. But that being said, I went ahead and made the corners butt up against each other. So that way there's this room. So you can see where there's room here for like a weld. Or if you goop up Lords just to keep this seam stabilized, there should be room. However, feel free to grind away as much as you need to try to really open up that part for seams. That's why I also clipped the corner here. So the jigs will be clipped as well. So you can see how much room there is right there. So feel free to sort of adjust the corners of this frame thing, but keep the backer, when you Lords on the backer, keep these corners clean and fresh and straight, because you can see this is going to be light leaks. Plus you'll see it. So make sure that part, when you go to Lords this on, do all the grinding first, and then you're just going to take this backer piece and Lords it to this frame in the back. And also you can see like where the mounting holes are integrated to the frame. So it's nice and strong. We're not relying on just Lords or anything to hold this up. The backer is mostly just to block out all the light and everything. So you'll have positive frame construction, like this right here. This tab will transfer load right to this guy. So nice and strong, nice and sturdy, because I know that the front of this will probably be pretty heavy with 1-inch push throughs and all this nonsense. This thing's not going to be light. So, but hopefully with install, I got plenty of choices. You can, you'll have right down the middle, and you'll have all these different holes you can use around the perimeter to put this thing up. So whether you use togglers or whatever. So that's kind of the idea. You're just going to Lords on the backer. And like I said, if install, this is going to be a paper pattern, but if you think you need it to be like plywood or something, or a thin piece of aluminum, talk to Route and get that made out of a solid piece if you need it. Otherwise, you'll get a paper pattern for that. So, but anyway, hopefully this kind of comes back to you and you kind of have aha moments and stuff. But if not, hit me up about any questions or anything. But should be pretty straightforward since we made it once before. So anyway. Good luck.